Standing on the sideline, clipboard in hand, I watched the arena lights cast their familiar glow across the polished hardwood. 27 years I've been doing this, and nights like these still make my heart race. Rick Carlisle, the architect of championship dreams, had his team prepared as always. That's what separates good coaches from great ones, the relentless attention to detail. The refusal to let complacency creep in, even for a moment. Cooper Flagg burst through the lane like a thunderstorm, his youthful energy colliding with veteran savvy on every possession. The kid has that rare combination of raw athleticism and basketball intelligence you can't teach. When he attacked the pressure, driving hard to the rim with authority, I saw flashes of the greats who came before him. But basketball isn't played by individuals alone. It's a symphony of movement, decision-making, and split-second reactions. The Mavericks were struggling early, turning the ball over at an alarming rate. For turnovers before the first quarter even hit its stride. I've seen teams unravel from less. Tyrese Walker capitalized immediately, draining a three-pointer that sent the home crowd into a frenzy. In this league, as Rick himself always says, there's no sympathy. You either execute or you watch your opponents celebrate. Every possession matters. Every defensive rotation, every box out, every communication breakdown gets exposed under these bright lights. The game was revealing its truth, possession by possession, and only the mentally tough would survive what was coming in the final minutes. The point guard's inner monologue. My hands were trembling slightly as I crossed half court, but I couldn't let anyone see it. Brandon Williams, they called me the kid who bounced between 4 different schools before finally making it here. Georgetown, Texas Tech, and all those stops in between taught me one thing. You have to prove yourself every single night. There are no guaranteed minutes in this league, no free passes just because you showed up. I could feel the defensive pressure tightening around me like a vice. Their scheme was designed to force turnovers, to make young guards like me second-guess every decision. But I'd been preparing for moments like this my entire life. When I picked up that loose ball and went high off the glass, something clicked inside me. The nervousness evaporated, replaced by pure instinct and muscle memory from 10,000 practice repetitions. Mac McClung was playing inspired basketball tonight, his energy contagious throughout our bench. When he converted that 4-point play, our entire sideline erupted. That's what I loved about this team. We genuinely celebrated each other's success. Ray J. Dennis was orchestrating the offense with surgical precision, his court vision reminiscent of the great point guards who came before him. People underestimate him, but I'd seen the work he puts in. Those slick little moves, the way he freezes defenders with pass fakes that est thousands of hours in the gym, translating to game-changing moments. The pace was frenetic, up for possessions per game from last season, and it played right into our hands. When I found myself in transition, crossing half court in 3 seconds flat, everything slowed down in my mind. The blur of motion became crystal clear. I could see passing lanes opening, defenders scrambling, opportunities materializing like gifts. This is why I fought so hard to get here. This is why I never gave up. The broadcast analyst's commentary. From up here in the booth, you see patterns that players in the heat of battle might miss. The game was unfolding like a chess match, with both coaches making tactical adjustments every few possessions. Pascal Siakam was absolutely dominating in the mid-range, his footwork impeccable, his touch soft as silk. When he drained that pull-up jumper to push the Pacers' lead back to 4 points, you could feel the momentum shifting. But momentum in basketball is the most fickle mistress. 1 minute you're controlling the tempo, the next minute a 7-0 run has you scrambling to call timeout. Klay Thompson, one of the greatest shooters in NBA history, had been relatively quiet until the second half. Then, like flipping a switch, he started finding his rhythm. That deep corner 3, the one that dancers on the rim before tantalizingly falling out, that was the story of Dallas' night in microcosm. So close to taking control, yet unable to quite break through. The defensive intensity was remarkable. Jay Huff, with his 7-foot frame, was altering shots in the paint and stepping out to hit threes when left open. Cooper Flagg's shot-blocking ability was on full display. The timing, the athleticism, the sheer will to protect the rim. These are the plays that do not always show up in the box score but change the entire complexion of a game. When defenders know there's an eraser behind them, they play with more aggression, take more risks, pressure the ball with greater intensity. D'Angelo Russell was conducting the offense with veteran poise, switching the ball to his left hand and hitting contested jumpers that seemed impossible. Caleb Martin's corner threes kept Dallas within striking distance. The margin never stretched beyond single digits for long, which meant every possession down the stretch would carry championship-level stakes. This was basketball at its finest, to well-coached teams refusing to yield, refusing to let the other dictate terms. The fans' emotional journey. I'd been waiting all week for this game, wearing my jersey to work, checking injury reports obsessively, debating starting lineups with anyone who would listen. Now, sitting in section 117, row M, seat 14, I was living every possession like my own heart was on the line. When Seacom tipped that rebound home for the first basket, the arena exploded, and I was screaming until my throat was raw. Basketball fandom isn't rational. It's pure emotion, tribal loyalty, the desperate hope that tonight will be the night your team puts it all together. When we fell behind early, when those turnovers piled up and it felt like nothing would fall, I experienced genuine despair. My buddy Mike grabbed my arm and said, "Have faith, man. Have faith." But faith is hard when you've watched your team blow fourth-quarter leads before. Then Brandon Williams happened. That blur of motion and transition, the hustle, the refusal to quit on any play, he embodied everything we wanted our team to be. When he dove for a loose ball, when he found the open man instead of forcing a bad shot, when he played with that infectious energy that elevated everyone around him, that S, when I remembered why I loved this game. It's not just about the superstars. It's about the role players who give everything they have, who earn their minutes through sheer determination. The building was absolutely electric in the fourth quarter. Every made three-pointer sent shockwaves through the crowd. Jairus Walker hitting from deep, Seacom banging in consecutive threes to make it a 4-point game with 2 minutes left. I was on my feet, hands raised, completely lost in the moment. My voice was gone, my heart was racing, and I wouldn't have wanted to be anywhere else in the world. This is what it means to be a fan, to live and die with every possession. To believe even when logic says otherwise, to be part of something bigger than yourself. The final minute drama, 28 seconds remaining. The scoreboard read 108-105, and the entire season felt like it was compressed into these final ticks of the game clock. Ray J. Dennis had just drilled a three-pointer to make it a 3-point game, and the Mavericks were out of timeouts. Everything they'd worked for, every practice, every film session, every moment of adversity, it all came down to this. The play call was simple. Get the ball to your best players and let them make a play. But simple doesn't mean easy. Not with 5 defenders desperate to get a stop. Not with legs heavy from 46 minutes of warfare. Not with the weight of expectation pressing down like atmosphere. The inbound pass came to Cooper Flagg, and he immediately faced a double team. He kicked it out to the perimeter, the ball swinging from side to side as Dallas searched for an opening. 7 seconds. 6 seconds. The shot clock and game clock were both winding down in cruel synchronicity. A drive to the basket was contested. The shot missed, and suddenly the ball was on the floor. Bodies dove everywhere, a scramble of desperation and desire. Cooper managed to corral it with 3 seconds left, but the Pacers had no choice. They fouled immediately, sending him to the line with the game hanging in the balance. The free throw attempt was off the mark, intentionally a tactical miss, trying to give his team one last chance at an offensive rebound. The ball hit the rim, bounced wildly, and somehow found Najee Marshall. Time seemed to freeze as he rose up with the ball, but his attempt was contested, falling short. The buzzer sounded, and it was over. The Pacers had held on, surviving by the narrowest of margins. Players collapsed to the floor in exhaustion and relief. Some celebrated, others hung their heads, but everyone knew they'd just witnessed something special, a game that demanded everything and gave back memories that would last forever. This is why we play. This is why we compete. For moments like these, when the outcome hangs by a thread and champions are forged,